Hello, Miami. This is 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will, and the series is tied, folks. The Miami Heat, your Miami Heat, have tied the series against the Denver Nuggets 1-1 with a resounding victory yesterday. A very close game towards the end, 111-108, which Miami Heat were down by double-digit points for some parts of the game as well. But I want to break down games 1 and 2 as they were a tale of 2 games, and it was expected. Game 1, the Miami Heat had a very tough series against the Boston Celtics, winning in 7 games, over there in TD Garden. To fly over to Denver and having to deal with the altitude, I don't care what anyone says, it is not easy to acclimate yourself to Denver so quickly early on. I knew the Heat would be fine game 2, but game 1 would be difficult, and they lost. Okay, they lost by a score of 104-93, in which we saw why Nikola Jokic has been MVP before, and Jamal Murray is just a flat-out beast. All right, as both Jokic and Murray combined for 53 points, but Jokic was the guy of the night with his 14 assists and 10 rebounds. He just picked apart the Miami Heat defense, which was obviously very fatigued coming into the game. And just a little bit about that is that we saw a nice emergence from Bam Adebayo, as Bam Adebayo was a bright spot for Miami with 26 points and 13 rebounds. It was good to see Bam, all right, in both games 1 and 2, take a more aggressive stance against the Denver Nuggets, which were a much bigger team and a very physical team as well. Bam has really ascended, as he was also very aggressive in game 2, as the Miami Heat won 111-108. And Bam had 21 points with 9 rebounds in the game. And again, he was also very aggressive. Some highlights in that game, Jokic did have 41 points and 11 rebounds, but he did have his assists limited. It's only 4 assists in this game. I will break down what the Miami Heat did differently defensively that was able to stop the MVP. But again, Bam, as I mentioned, 21 points, 9 rebounds, playing very well, very aggressive. His defense has been a true bright spot, for the Miami Heat in this game, in last night's game as well. And then Jimmy Butler has not had a Jimmy Butler-like game. He did have 21 points and 9 assists. He was much more of a distributor in his game, but the Miami Heat role players did hit their shots, and they were, I believe, was the key to winning this basketball game, as you had Gabe Vincent again, 23 points, going 4 for 6 from downtown. Duncan Robinson, led a spark in the fourth quarter with his 10 points and 2 for 3 from downtown as well. Now, what happened differently in this game? Well, first things foremost, Miami Heat had their legs under them. I didn't think in the first game the Heat had their legs under them, and they had their legs under them in this game. They were able to come out firing and had a double-digit lead in the first quarter, about 12 points, if I'm not mistaken. What made the Miami Heat better is the way they defended Jokic a bit more. Although Jokic did get his, they did neutralize, Murray a bit during the game, and some of the other players like Porter, and Aaron Gordon as well throughout the game, in particular. Jokic did a lot of damage from the free throw line, okay? From the inside of the free throw line in game 1, he was able to pick apart the Miami Heat defense in several facets, okay? He picked them apart through the back end, right, through some backdoor cuts, okay? And he was able to pick them apart also, through the perimeter. So what the Heat did differently defensively is what they ended up doing is that they pushed off. They were able to get Jokic out of that center of that paint, all right, where he's able to do his damage and force him more to do things from the perimeter, more so than anything. And that is why, he got his points when he was down low, but they neutralized, that area with their zone defense as well, and some man-to-man as well, some blitzes as well, towards the ball carrier. And Jokic did a lot more of his damage with assists in the perimeter. So it pretty much didn't leave much open for Jokic to do comparable to what he had in game 1. And that is something the Miami Heat are going to continue to do. Bam defends Jokic well, despite the 41 points. I also think making him work, I'm going to get into Kevin Love in a minute, but I also think making him work, on the offensive end also, the defensive end doesn't help Jokic either, because he's not the best defender, and Bam is a much better athlete than Jokic is. Jokic is very good fundamentally, okay? You can't deny that his footwork and his awareness on who's on the floor, his three-point shot is very difficult to cover. He releases it very well with accuracy to hit that shot, the jumpers as well. He has a very soft touch. Just, give his offensive game credit, but he's not the best defender, okay? Anybody who's a better athlete and has some fundamentals to could drive and score on Jokic. Jokic does need help on the defensive end. But I do think installing Kevin Love into the lineup as a starter helped out because it put Bam at the 4 and put Kevin Love at the 5, which is a much bigger body for Jokic to defend. All right. So even though Kevin Love is not the best defender in the world, he does stretch the floor a bit, which you have to respect the 3-point shot. He has a decent jump shot. He could rebound the ball, and he's a really good passer as well from the 5 position. So I do think that also did help Miami. So I look to see Kevin Love start once again when they arrive in Miami for game 3. Okay, but nonetheless, I do expect Bam to be much more aggressive against Jokic now that we're on the home floor. And the Miami Heat were able to win that game and make game 1 a bit more competitive without Jimmy Butler being Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler stepped up in game 2 towards the end of the game. Bam hit some clutch shots, but we really saw Jimmy pick it up a bit towards the end of the game, a bit more of a distributor in both games 1 and 2. I do want to see Jimmy Butler pick it up offensively in games 3 and 4, all right? Because if Miami is able to hit those shots and you have both Jimmy and Bam excelling on the offensive end, getting theirs points-wise, which I do think Bam will get his chance points-wise, you will see the Miami Heat win a couple more games in the series and maybe even take the whole doggone thing. Because defensively speaking, I don't think, Denver is as competitive defensively as, let's say, Boston. I could be wrong. If anybody wants to comment on that, feel free to do so. They're just bigger. Okay, so they're able to be a bit more physical. But as far as schematics go, I do think that as of right now, for what it looks like, Boston is the better team, all right, or has been the better team against Miami. Just because the Miami Heat missed a lot of open looks in the first game. It's not like, Denver was this great, masterful team on defense, all right? The Heat did miss a lot of open looks. Max Strus went 0 for 10, right, in game 1. The Heat did hit their shots this time around, and what Denver did is that they adjusted offensively to what the Heat were doing to catch up. Again, they are the home team. So we'll see what happens in games 3 and 4. The Miami Heat have proven that they could win now in Denver. This is Denver's first home loss in the playoffs, and this is a team that played, a LeBron and AD Lakers team and a Kevin Durant, Devin Booker team. So we'll see what happens now when the Heat head home, if they're able to maintain home court and go back to Denver 3-1, or maybe go tied. We'll see what happens, all right? The bottom line is great victory for Miami last night. It was a much-needed win for the Heat. They come home. They play well at home. They defend well at home, and we'll see what Denver has in store for the Heat. But I do think the Miami Heat will punch Denver in the face in games 3 and 4 like they did in game 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. I will be giving you some more recruiting coverage, all right? As far as Miami Hurricanes go, I will be giving you some more recruiting coverage on the way, okay? That's it for me, guys. Have a safe day. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.